Texas Tech has their quarterfinal matchup in the Big 12 tournament set, and it's a familiar foe in the Baylor Bears. In today's video, we'll discuss why this was the ideal matchup, preview the game, look at the stats that matter, and why, well, Texas Tech has an opportunity to get another quad one win. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast, and y'all know by now what question I'm about to ask you. Tell me your score prediction for Baylor versus number 9 Texas Tech out in Kansas City in the Big 12 Tournament Quarterfinals. Let me know down on the pinned comment below. There's going to be a player on the Baylor side that, hey, Texas Tech did not see in the home win for Texas Tech out in the 806, but we'll discuss him and some other key players for Baylor here in just a second. Before we get into that, let me know your score prediction for Baylor and number 9 Texas Tech out in Kansas City in the Big 12 Tournament Quarterfinals on the pinned comment down below. All right, let's look at it. 70-56, that was the score for Baylor to beat Kansas State in Jerome Tang in the Wildcat season up in Kansas City. They will have a bus ride back to Manhattan, Kansas later tonight at the time of this recording, while Baylor will prepare to play the Big 12 Player of the Year in JT Toppin on Thursday night at 6 p.m. on either ESPN or ESPN2. They will determine that later on tomorrow. Now, when we look at the overall Big 12 bracket, I can let you know what's happened so far in this one. I do have that Kansas game blocked off just because, well, that's the one that we don't know yet. The other three we do know, and it'll be Iowa State against BYU, and then we will have 16 versus 1. No, we're not talking about the first round of the NCAA tournament. We're talking about the quarterfinals of the Big 12 tournament, damn it. Colorado will face off against the, well, number 1 seeded Houston Cougars. Good luck, Buffs. And then Texas Tech, as I mentioned, will face off against the Baylor Bears at 6 p.m. in game number 11 out in Kansas City in the Big 12 quarterfinals. Now, when we look at the stats on this one, as we get into the game preview, Texas Tech comes into this matchup as the third best scoring team in the Big 12. Baylor not too far behind in 6th, but there's a pretty big discrepancy in terms of the points actually scored in this one. Texas Tech averages 81.1 while Baylor scores 76.7. When you look at the defensive side of this, Texas Tech allows 66.8 points per game while Baylor allows 69.4. In terms of the total margin between the two, in terms of how many points they score and how many points they allow, Texas Tech has the second best margin in the Big 12 at 14.3. while you have Baylor at 7th at 7.4. Honestly, not too bad of a number if you are the Baylor Bears. When it comes down to field goal percentage, Texas Tech shoots 47% from the field. Baylor, 44.8. Texas Tech, when you look at this, it's not too far in terms of just the actual percentage, but it's a sizable gap in terms of actual in-game results. Texas Tech allows teams to shoot 42.2%, while Baylor allows teams to shoot 43.7. Of course, that is from the field. When it comes to three-point shooting teams, these are two of the better ones in the Big 12 Conference. Texas Tech, the second best at 37.8, while Baylor shoots 35.4. Now, when you look at the opponent field goal percentage, this is where things are just drastically different, and this could be really the difference in this game, okay? Texas Tech allows teams to shoot 31% from the field, from 31.4 to be exact. You look at what Baylor shoots, it's a 4-point discrepancy. No big deal there in terms of Texas Tech holds. So if we go by averages, Baylor will likely, at least on average, shoot about 33% there, right? Baylor allows teams to shoot 35.4% from 3. That's what Baylor shoots themselves. Texas Tech shoots 37.8. If Texas Tech holds Baylor to their season average in terms of what Texas Tech allows to teams, 31, while Baylor holds Texas Tech to their season average, that's a 4 percentage point discrepancy there. And that is going to be huge with the amount of volume Texas Tech shoots from 3. You look at it in terms of three-pointers made in the league this year, Texas Tech averaged 10.1 made threes per game, while Baylor averaged 8.7. Okay, 1.5 difference basically on average is the difference between these two schools. You look at the rebounding side of things, and Texas Tech and Baylor are pretty similar, about half a rebound different per game on average. Texas Tech, 36.6 total rebounds, Baylor, 35.9. You look at it in terms of the combined opponent rebounds per game, and it's just right neck and neck, right? Fourth for Texas Tech, 31.9 on average per game, while Baylor allows 32.5. You look at the offensive rebounding metrics, and that's where things are different in terms of, on average, how many offensive rebounds these two teams get. Baylor is the best offensive rebounding team in the Big 12 this year, alongside Utah, funny enough, averaging 12.8 offensive rebounds per game. Texas Tech averages 11.4. Now, when it comes to defensive rebound, Texas Tech clears Baylor in this one, averaging 2 more defensive rebounds per game than the Baylor Bears, 25.3 to 23.1. Now, you look at the rebounding margin, Texas Tech and Baylor, they're really not too far apart. On average, Texas Tech averages about 4.7 more rebounds per game than they allow, while Baylor averages 3.4 rebounds per game more than they allow. So you look at that and you think to yourself, okay, what are the keys in this game? To me, there's really 2 big keys in this one. First and foremost, if Texas Tech shoots closer to their average and what Baylor allows teams to shoot, again, 35.4% is what Baylor allows teams to shoot from 3. Texas Tech is going to have a nice day from 3 with the amount of snipers they have from the outside, whether it's Elijah Hawkins, whether it's Kerwin Walton who's getting going, KO, Chance McMillan, D5. You've got multiple guys, right? And I didn't even mention Christian Anderson there. So you've got multiple guys that can beat you from deep. And with a team that struggles on perimeter defense, right, you're going to make Baylor choose here. If Baylor chooses to guard the perimeter more, congratulations, you have to face off against the Big 12 Player of the Year on one-on-one matchups. And Norchad Omier is a really good player. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the Big 12 just because of his game and how it just feels like every time he gets a rebound, it's just he's always there, right, when it comes to rebounding. But JT Toppin, give me 10 times out of 10 that matchup against Norchad Omier, right? Are you going to do that if you're Baylor, or are you going to send the double at JT Toppin and then have all of these plethora of shooters on the outside for Texas Tech have open looks? It's a lose-lose situation for Baylor, and Scott Drew is one of the best coaches in America. There's no doubting that, and I'm sure he's going to come with a great defensive game plan, but that's what makes Texas Tech so difficult to defeat, is the fact that, okay, if we double JT Toppin, that means one of these 40% three-point shooters are open on the outside, right? The other big thing in this game, if you ask me, is the offensive rebounding. If you allow Baylor to even get remotely close to their average when it comes to offensive rebounds, which is essentially 13 offensive rebounds per game, it might be a long night for Texas Tech, because now you have to deal with VJ Edgecombe, a guy that you did not have to play in the first matchup of the year and the only matchup of the year between Baylor and Texas Tech out in the 806 where the Red Raiders defeated the Bears. He is the freshman of the year in the Big 12. He is going to be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft, and he is a bona fide star and creates mismatches on the perimeter and is hyper aggressive on both ends of the floor. When he gets downhill, good luck. Okay. It is one of those type of mismatches. So that's something I'm interested in seeing, is if Baylor can continue to get that level of offensive rebounds, and now they have VJ Edgecombe back into the fold in this matchup. That's not ideal if you're Texas Tech, if we're being honest about it. Texas Tech is by far the more talented team. But if you give Baylor multiple second chance opportunities, they've got players that can capitalize on it. So Texas Tech is going to have to keep Baylor below their season average of 12.8 offensive rebounds per game. Now, another big reason why this was a big deal in terms of Texas Tech playing Baylor was the simple fact of, now you have a quad 1 win opportunity. If you were playing Kansas State, they do not meet the criteria to have a quad 1 opportunity. If you were Texas Tech, they weren't in the top 50, which for a neutral site game is the criteria, right? So you look at this, Baylor is in the top 30 over in KenPom, but they are 33rd in the net. With the way that they handled Kansas State by double figures, and really it wasn't a game in the second half, I would not be surprised if Baylor jumps up to 30 in this one. Kansas State drops out of the top 75, right? So what does that mean? Texas Tech could just stay plateaued on that 8 in terms of quad 1 wins, in the sense that if Baylor jumps into the top 30, that win against Baylor, which is now a quad 2 win, becomes a quad 1. But unfortunately, Kansas State, which was 73rd in the net, will fall down past 75. That will lose a quad 1 win, so it'll stay even at 8. and 4 for Texas Tech when it comes to quad 1. Now, what's interesting is this from the standpoint of why I thought it was so important for Texas Tech to play Baylor. As we look at KenPom and I go over this in terms of my logic of thinking, you can see on your screen right there, Baylor 30th, Texas Tech 7th on KenPom going into this matchup. Baylor winning not only potentially gives Texas Tech a quad 1 win, as we mentioned, you could lose the Kansas State quad 1 win, but also gives Texas Tech another opportunity at a quad 1 victory and to secure another win versus an NCAA tournament team. That is pivotal for Texas Tech in the sense that you're 7-1 on the road against quad 1 teams. That'll probably go to 6-1 because this Kansas State loss will bounce them out of the top 75 of the net. But the committee loves, and I mean loves, when teams beat other NCAA tournament teams. It is a big, big green flag for the committee when that happens, okay? So this is going to give Texas Tech another opportunity to do so. Is Baylor, going to be, a 5 seed or anything like that? No, I think they're still in that, okay, are they playing in Dayton? Probably not, but it's possible if some other things go certain ways in other conference tournaments. But that's huge for Texas Tech in the sense of they have an opportunity to get another quad 1 win. They would not have that opportunity against Kansas State. So now you get another opportunity for a quad 1 win and a win against an NCAA tournament team. And that is pivotal in this time of the year to help Texas Tech just to have the opportunity, right? But if they do win, that's a really, really good resume booster for Texas Tech and their chances at a 2 seed or being the highest 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. All right, before we head out of here one more time, be sure to tell me what your score prediction is for Texas Tech. Number 9 Texas Tech, I should say, and Baylor in the Big 12 quarterfinals up in Kansas City. And if you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to join the Back to 12 squad for 100% free Texas Tech content all year long. We'll be going live here on the channel for Selection Sunday. We'll be giving away a $50 home field apparel gift card. We'll be going live around 4:30, 4:45 on Selection Sunday as the selection show is set to begin at 5 p.m. Central Time. So be sure to tune into that for your opportunity to not only know where Texas Tech is going to be playing their first round and what bracket they're in. We'll have instant analysis of that first round matchup, as well as the bracket for Texas Tech and much more. And hey, you might even be able to win a home field apparel $50 gift card. So again, easiest way to be reminded that we're going live, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. And best part about it, if you do that, you get 100% free Texas Tech content all year long. All right, I'm RC Maxfield. Appreciate y'all tuning in. As always, stay safe and Recom Tech.